to be here. Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to this Getting Started with AI session. Really excited to be here. Thanks for the introduction, Robin. Yeah, it's really sunny outside. So hopefully we can get you engaged in another Zoom workshop session. We're going to try and make the session interactive, do lots of sharing, a bit of talking, of course, and then there'll be space for you to, of course, ask questions, reflect on some of the things you've heard, and hopefully also get some time to think of your next steps and practical takeaways, and how you can get started with AI. I'm David from Cast. I'm also joined by Ellen, lovely Ellen from Cast. Hi, Ellen.
Hello, hello,
Ellen's
hello. Yes,
joining us
great
from
to
Marseille in
be
the south of France.
here. Yes, great to be here. I'm one of the program leads working with David at Cast. Hello.
Amazing. And if you're not familiar with Cast, we're a charity that help social impact organizations. So lots and lots of charities like yourselves make the fullest or the best possible use of digital technology. So you can really, grab the opportunities that technology offers to help support your beneficiaries and to really help you make meaningful and impactful work. We do this at scale across the UK. We've been around for 10 years, celebrating 10 years this year. Hey. And we supported just the last 12 months already over 1,000 kind of non-profit organizations. And I think, Robin, you said, we're best placed to talk about AI. I don't know if we are, but I just want to give you a bit of context for like how we landed in the space. So we tend to look at digital capacity building programs and improving digital capacity, digital capability of your teams, so you can really kind of leverage the opportunities of technologies in a very inclusive, accessible way to improve your services. I'm going to be honest, the last maybe 3 years ago, AI wasn't really a priority for us. But we are trying to be as responsive as possible to the needs of the organizations we support. And of course, AI has really kind of come at the forefront of a lot of people's minds as kind of impacting society, which we're going to look at all levels. So we've really kind of landed in space like yourselves, trying to make sense of it by testing and learning together as a team. So really trying to create a culture of openness, of like empowering us to have a play with this technology in a really safe, responsible way, and then share those learnings openly. And we set up some peer learning groups. There's an AI for Digital Leads group with over 100 uh, folks like yourselves just joining a session every 6 weeks to share how they're using AI, to understand the opportunities, the risks, and really work through those together. And we've also an AI for Grant Makers peer group with 100 plus trust foundations across the UK doing the same. So really trying to learn by collectively, right? By sharing, by really trying to do things in a cautious way, but also kind of um, engaging with the technology, finding ways of engaging it in low risk way. And on the back of that, we've also built some little training support offers like this workshop, for instance, like a self-serve getting started course, some shared guides that we're hearing from our networks. Can you share step-by-step guide on how you've developed or used this tool for this purpose? And also kind of collating all the resources we're hearing and we're seeing from amazing organizations that are really out there supporting the sector, which is not always visible. You don't always know where to go, trying to condense those into an AI resource hub. On top of that, we've also doing a bit of research around this so we can understand the needs and how they're evolving, make sure we're responding to real life, um, you know, timely needs. And so we've run an AI sector survey last year. We just ran one this year. We shared some of the results of that yesterday in a webinar. So we've got a bit of evidence base there to help us inform our support offers and kind of input into our support offers. And of course, we share those openly too. And finally, we're also really keen to have a strategic voice that civil society as a whole has a unified voice to shape discussions around AI. It's often missing from government industry group discussions. So we co-set up a UK charity AI task force with Zoe MR Digital. There's over 50 organizations cross sectors, but really kind of focus on ensuring AI is used for social impact in an accessible way and focused on user needs. So that's kind of a bit of a, you know, context of like how we've landed in this space. And I think we're not AI experts, but we're really keen to share today the learnings, the insights, the use cases we're seeing from all these interventions. So you can gain some practical ways. You can kind of get inspired and see how others are using it and see how it can help support your work. We're going to start really small. So for those of you that are already at 6 or 7 there out of 9 or that scale, This might be something you're already doing. We'd love to hear from you if you're also doing this stuff. We're starting really small, low risk. That's kind of the focus of this session. But we'd love to hear for those of you that are experimenting, maybe doing more advanced stuff. There'll be a chance to bring that into the session too. And yeah, share some real life use cases. We're going to do lots of demos. We're going to show AI in action. We've got a couple of videos from folks from our networks that have recorded quick 4-minute demos so you can see what it's like. And then we're also going to dive into how we can engage with this in a safe way, understand the risks, what to watch out for, and then help you get started really on like setting up a bit of a first step and a bit of a plan at the end of this session. Hope that all sounds good. Suggest we dive in, right? This is the agenda. We can run through that. It's going to be AI in action for 25 minutes after a bit of what is AI, scene setting by Ellen, some group discussions, and then we're going to dive into like the responsible experimentation bit. What does safe AI look like? Where and where not to experiment if you're starting out. And then, of course, signposting to free support because there's loads of good stuff out there that we'd love to shout about. Okay, first of all, we'd love to see. We've already done a quick poll. This is slightly different. So we're going to use Mentimeter. It's a big group. We're going to try and do a bit of real-time data capture using Mentimeter. I know Robin was using Zoom. So we're going to take you to another platform. Hopefully that's okay. If you've got a phone, best way is just to scan the QR code here that you can see on the screen, and then you can use the polls on your phone and you can follow the webinar on your main screen. You can also type menti.com in your browser and type in this 8-digit PIN code, or I think there's a link we can post in the chat, and you can just click on the link and it'll take you to the tab with the first poll. And we're going to be using throughout the session. So really great if you could keep that tab open or have your phone handy. And we'd love to see where you are in your AI journey. And this is like looking at if you're a newbie, you haven't used it before, you're a dabbler, you maybe tried one or two things, you're hungry, like you're consuming as much AI learning as you can, just maybe like me, I'm hungry, or you're an integrator. Some of you that were like 7 or 8s there, you might be starting to integrate AI into your workflows. Super exciting, but you might be an expert working and training others in AI. So love to see what's coming up. I'm going to stay on this slide for a few more seconds so you can all kind of on board onto Mentimeter. And what you should be getting is this poll here. We can see some answers coming through to you. I'm going to come back on this slide for now just to make sure everyone can join. And please do, if you've got any problems joining the poll, please let us know in the chat. And you can also, of course, join using the chat if there are some tech issues that we can't resolve. All right, how's that looking? Nice. So reassured to see that there's what close to 80% are, kind of initial stage, entry level stage, because this is how we've kind of shaped this session. So that's good. And really excited to also hear from the hungry. I would love to hear how you've been using it and if some of the examples that we're showing resonate with you. And even more reassured that there are no AI experts trainers in this space. You would probably be going like, you know, yeah, I could do this. Um, Amazing. We've got 41. Let's see. I think the poll stopped moving. So thanks for answering that poll. The next question, very quickly. I'm always curious to know. Let's see if we can shift this. What comes to mind when you hear AI? So what kind of feeling comes to mind? Just want to get it's a bit of a word cloud, but just first thing that comes to mind. Um, wow. Okay. The first thing I saw was the Terminator. Um, We're going to humanize this today. We're not going to be talking about robots and Terminators. We're going to make it human focused. Robots, ChatGPT, good. We're going to talk about ChatGPT. It's the number one tool that came out of our AI sector survey, the tool that's most used from 266 respondents, which was interesting. Um, Opportunity, scary, fear. Okay. Whole mix of things. Potential. Ah, I'm sensing a lot of like cautious kind of apprehension, which is interesting. Some of you are, you're getting to the opportunities bit, it's the helpful. But yeah, I think we need to, Ellen, we've got to help demystify some of this and yeah, create a level playing field, I think. So that's really, really insightful. Thank you so much for answering. And we're going to keep it open. We're going to use some polls in a bit. Um, Amazing. That's a bit of scene setting. I'm going to hand over to Ellen. We're going to spend probably 10 minutes or so just trying to, yeah, talk in simple terms, jargon free, what AI is or how we've experienced it really through our network. So over to you, Ellen.
Super interesting check-in. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, so we've talked a bit about how we're feeling about AI, but what actually is it, right? So I think if we've got some dabblers, some hungry people in here, you might already know, but we're gonna show you a really great video, just to break it up a little bit from Good Things Foundation. Hopefully, sound is working. But what is it? We'd love to get any reflections in the chat as you're watching, and I think David's gonna hit play.
Artificial intelligence, or AI for
Can you hear this?
short, may feel like a mystery, but you might already be using it in your life right now. Learning how to get the most from AI can help make your life a little easier and even save you time. AI can work with lots of information and do complicated things super quickly. Things like helping you choose when there are too many options. Imagine picking something to eat from a food menu. The menu is the same for everyone every time. You look through everything on the menu, thinking about what sort of food you'd like to eat. AI is a bit like having a helpful chef step in. You tell them what food you like and they'll suggest a few dishes for you. And like a chef, AI can adapt and learn. The more feedback you give it, the better the suggestions next time. Some online shops use AI like this. They learn about you based on what you've looked at or bought, then suggest other products you might like. TV services like BBC iPlayer use AI to recommend things to watch. The more you tell them which shows you like, the better it gets at choosing programmes for you. And then there are social media platforms like Facebook. They use AI to suggest people you may know from millions of users, or recommend articles based on your interests and habits. So what you see will be different from what everyone else sees. As well as helping you find things you like, some websites use AI to answer your questions. You type a question into a box and AI will try to give you an answer. These are called chatbots. They can save you time and effort when searching for help. Some websites even give their chatbot a name to make it seem like you're talking to a human. There are also AI tools that can help you write things, like a letter or a job application. AI is a great way to get started. But remember, just like humans, AI can make mistakes. Always check that any important details are correct before you use them. And if you're not sure, ask someone to help. Whether you need help making choices or starting a task, AI can save you time and make things easier, letting you get on with more of the things you enjoy. Now you know a little more about artificial intelligence. If you feel more confident about using it, give this video.
Brilliant. Fab. Yes. So really great video. And yeah, helpful just to kind of see the broad mix there of different use cases of AI. We've got a definition here from IBM. There'll be lots of others out here. This one says, yeah, artificial intelligence or AI is technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human intelligence and problem-solving capabilities. So I think one of the really what we've noticed as a really striking thing about AI is the rate at which it's being adopted. We've got a great graph on the next slide that kind of brings that to life a little bit. So you can see here, it took 3 months for ChatGPT to reach 100 million users. And when you put that in context, so the internet, that took 7 years, Facebook, 4.5 years, and TikTok, 7 months. So wow, it's being adopted at a really quick rate. And I think that is being reflected in that check-in there around some of the excitement and then some of the fear as well. Is it taking over? But responding to this really rapid adoption rate, which is really interesting. And you saw in the video as well that there's these different types of AI. So we talked a little bit about generative AI. So that's things like ChatGPT. So using deep learning to produce new content. So that might be text and images, music, reports, that kind of thing. We're going to do some demos in a minute. So you get to see some examples. Then there's deep learning. So understanding and interpreting huge amounts of data. So that might be facial recognition or real-time translation apps. And then there's this other layer at the top there, machine learning, where AI learns from past experiences. So in the video, it talks about the BBC or it might be Netflix, but that algorithm where it's making decisions used on your past behavior, your past watching to make recommendations about things you might enjoy in the future. There's all these different types of AI, and then there's all these different feelings around AI as well. And that can make it really difficult to engage. So we've got this AI spheres of influence. Sometimes we call it the egg that we've come up with at CAST. And the idea is it tries to break that down a little bit. So we can consider these one by one without getting overwhelmed. So we might be really excited about some of the opportunities to kind of speed up our workflows. And at the same time, perhaps concerned about, the Terminator we saw in the check-in, some of the concerns around the impact on minority groups, the environment, what does it mean for my job? So it's really hard to hold all of that together. So this can be really helpful as a tool for you, for your teams. If you're thinking about efficiency, that might be using AI to create a report or to complete a grant application. So speeding up our workflows. New processes and ways of working. So if we're using AI to help us create a grant application and that's speeding that up, but does that mean that we've then got more time to put towards the kind of feeding the relationships or generating new relationships with partners or funders that might fund the work that we do? So these new processes that might be unlocked because of AI. And then changes to missions. There's lots of really interesting conversations happening around kind of what does AI mean for the charity sector and our mission. So if you're working with young people, an organization that supports young people, for example, what does it mean? Do we have to now think about kind of how AI might impact young people in the role, as they go on to the world of work? Do we need to create new training programs that support them to work alongside machines and AI so they've got the best chances moving forward? So it'd be really unique, I suppose, to the mission that your charity has, but some really interesting conversations happening at that level. And then changes to context. So this is kind of really taking a step back. What does it mean in terms of compounding bias, exclusion, the socioeconomic kind of context is going to impact kind of our sector, but other sectors as well, the workforce and how we operate. There's loads of kind of things to consider here around that our context is now shifting. Our expectations are shifting because of AI and the impact it's having. So yeah, this is a really useful tool that kind of helps break that down a little bit. And we're going to do some demos, mostly focusing on that bottom level around efficiencies, but kind of touching on a few other areas as well through the levels coming up. So yeah, we've got all this kind of information to hold around AI, but one kind of key message that we would like to share is that we really need an empowered, vocal and influential civil society, confident in their use and understanding of these new technologies. So that's all of us. And it sounds like there's actually kind of quite a lot of people already dabbling, getting hungry, which is really great. We've seen in our AI survey as well, there's already a lot of kind of interest in upskilling and building confidence, which is going to be really important because it's going to change the expectations of our service users as well. So we need to be thinking about how we respond to that, and as individuals, but as an organization as well, and as a sector. So I think we've got time to run through just a few snapshots from our AI survey, which we ran last year and we ran again this year to get a bit of a temperature check on how people in the social sector are feeling around AI. So some really positive things. We're just going to do a really quick snapshot here, but positive is that there seems to be a generally positive mindset around AI. So I think most people feeling kind of quite excited. It was on a scale from 0 to 10. So 0, very concerned, 10, very excited, and average was about 6.2. Quite high levels of knowledge. So 83% of people that completed the survey categorized the AI knowledge as either foundational or experienced or proficient. It's really interesting. High levels of awareness as well, which I think mirrors the check-in here that, lots of people who responded to the survey are already using AI and considering how to use them in their daily roles. And then there was a kind of call out for more peer support. So 87% of respondents said that they already had contacts inside or outside the sector with whom that they could openly discuss AI concerns, which is great. But we also noticed actually people looking for more AI peer support as well. So we'll try and kind of create some of that today as well with some breakout activities. And then the lows as well. So always good to talk about the high and the lows, right? Keep it balanced. So it's really came clear one thing was a concern around data, which we'll try and address through some of the demos and kind of the activities toward the end of the workshop as well. But this concern around data, 70% of respondents reported that data privacy and security concerns were a barrier to their organization adopting AI. Lack of research, so another kind of concern, only 7.5% said they were collecting data on the impact of AI on beneficiaries. So kind of we want to think a bit about kind of why is that, what support might we want to provide. Lack of training. So 45% said that their organization was providing no AI training or support. So again, we'll touch on kind of some of the free support that we've got at CAST as well. You might know of others. And then lack of support generally. So I guess linked to lack of training, only 10% felt that there was a sufficient kind of AI upskilling and support available to the sector. So yeah, again, some good, really positive things, and then kind of some really good evidence that we can then build on to think about how we might respond and provide more support to the sector to address some of these challenges. That's a lot from us. So we are going to move into some demos in a minute. But yeah, I want to pause there for any reflections or questions and have a look at the chat as well. Yeah, I love that from Ellie. No daft questions in the age of AI. So yeah, that definitely goes for the session. Daft questions, welcome.
I think, Ellen, there's just a question from Janine on MS Copilot. So we talk about tools and stuff. I suggest we run through a few demos, Janine, and then see if so we can contextualize some of that, and then we can start delving into some questions around more specific questions around tools and reflections on some of the demos that we've shown. See how they resonate. Does that make sense? Is that okay, Ellen?
Yeah, sounds good. And
That's
yeah,
okay,
Janine
Janine.
says great.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much. Hey, so we've done a bit of talking. We've used a bit of jargon on that slide around machine learning, deep learning. That's all there's going to be. Now we're going to dive into some demos. Thanks so much, Ellen, for setting, kind of, yeah, trying to outline what AI is and what it isn't in such a short space of time. There's we'd love to share some demos of like just starting really small. We saw ChatGPT in the word cloud, the main tool that's being used. Love to do starting some really simple tasks, simple prompt, showing how that works using a free version of ChatGPT. I'm using ChatGPT Plus, the fee-paying version, but you can use it for free. These are low risk kind of little tasks, and we're going to move to couple of other tasks, build on that prompt, and see how we can use other tools to really help us. Help AI assist us in our work, save a bit of time, and we're really looking at the bottom level of the egg, like Ellen mentioned. So starting really small, like simple things, simple repetitive tasks we have in our day to day that sometimes frustrate us or take time. How can AI act as a bit of a co-worker or an assistant to help us do some of the legwork, or at least remove that kind of clean slate, blank canvas, sometimes pressures that we're feeling. So that's what we're going to look at. Love for you to think about what excites or concerns you, especially if this is the first time you're seeing it, or you may have just had a quick go. If you're already using some of this and you've already tried some of the experiments, we'd love to know how that's going and what your experience has been like. We're going to be using the next Mentimeter poll to try and capture some of that. So rather than maybe putting it in the chat, it'd be great if you could log it in Mentimeter so we can see what's coming out here, how you're using it, AI, if at all. Just add any kind of reflections and thoughts on that. And I think the first one is really AI as your generalist co-worker is very general. Tools like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude are basically very generalist sort of chatbots. And the value in some of those that we've come across, and same through our peer groups, is really to act as a flexible, helpful assistant for planning, for drafting, for brainstorming, sounding boards, bit of problem solving. And the number one use in our AI sector survey was around content creation. So just using a tool like ChatGPT to start generating a bit of content. And we're going to have a look at an example now. So for instance, so you can you can sign up to ChatGPT. It's run by an OpenAI. There's a free version. There's different tiers. There's a free version which you can use. It's free. Nothing is free nowadays. So any data you input in there will probably be used to train their models. So use public information, use information that you'd be happy to share. on Facebook, on social media platform, whatever your habits are. Don't put any sensitive, confidential information here. But the exciting thing is you don't need to, right? So you can start with a simple prompt. For instance, we're running a workshop, we run a lot of training, and we're just going to use a really kind of hypothetical one. But you could just simply start with a very basic prompt around, I need some help to sketch a rough outline for how to write good funding applications with AI workshop. We're not running that. Don't worry, it's not something that we're going to be reusing. I'm not doing this right now. So I'm not doing another part of my work doing this workshop. But you can just ask it and see what it comes up with, right? And it's going to come up with something. It's going to be probably a bit hit and miss. But hey, you've got some information here. You've got a working title. You've got some objectives. You've got a bit of an agenda. And it's like, okay, it's prompting some ideas, some thoughts. And you haven't got a blank page anymore. Now, the challenge with this is that the outputs, AI gets things wrong. And you may have heard of the term hallucination. Like humans, they get things wrong. There's some inaccuracies in there, but there's ways of mitigating that. And that's by giving it clearer instructions. And that's called prompting. That's jargon. Sorry, but it's like basically you can have a chat with your chat GPT and be clearer in your instructions. And an easy way of remembering that I find helpful for me in my work is 3 C's. So context, character, clarity. So give it some context of who you are, what you're trying to do. Give it a character so you can ask it to act as a workshop trainer or a friendly workshop trainer or a workshop trainer with experience in nonprofits. And you can give it some clarity. What kind of output are you looking for? Rather than just a rough outline. What does that look like? And we're just going to test the difference in terms of outputs based on this prompt here. So I'm using a different prompt now. So I'm designing a practical workshop for small charities called blah, blah, blah. The audience will be non-technical charity staff. This is all the context bit. You are a friendly, non-technical AI guide with experience in working with nonprofits. I'm being much clearer about the character it's going to play, the role it's going to play, the lens it's going to bring to the output. And I'm being very clearer about the outcomes. It's a 90-minute workshop. I want a clear session structure. I would love a hands-on, beginner-friendly activity suggestions, etc. So you've got like much more detailed prompt. And what will happen is you'll start getting tighter, more relevant, more accurate content that might be better for you to use. So you're saving time, really. If you put a bit of time in that initial instruction, you're doing less back and forth. And it's like the likelihood is you'll come away with something that you can start really developing, fleshing out. Always, of course, checking that it's accurate, that's helpful. But this is a first draft, right? So you're putting your stamp on, you can put your stamp on it. You can bring your expertise in the field and start really shaping this into shape and how you want it. So here we've got a kind of clear output. It's giving me some learning outcomes. They're giving me in a clearer session structure. Giving me some suggesting some demos, some hands-on activities, some group reflections, very similar to what we're doing here today, which is good to see, and some optional extras. And it's always asking me a question. Would you like me to create facilitation slide decks? So it's being helpful. It's kind of, we've engaged, we've connected here. There's a bit more of a bond and understanding because of that initial, more refined prompt. So that's the first example of how to get started really low risk. You're not inputting anything sensitive. You're not uploading any docs. The risks, I've been touched on them. It might sometimes generate generic ideas. So think about your prompting and the guardrails around that, how to mitigate that is really treat it as a starting point. Never the final product. You can always personalize it, always fact check it. You might hear jargon klaxon, human in the loop. That's basically you're in charge and you're going to check what it comes up with and you're going to adapt and put your stamp on these outputs before doing anything else with them or using them externally or sharing with your colleagues, sharing them with Robin and Ellen. I'm always going to check all this beforehand. That's the first example. The second example is like, what do you then do with that? So say you're very happy with an outline and you want to create at speed some clear, stylish presentations quickly by turning some of this content into something visual. Now, I was at the SCBO conference with Robin at the start of January. We were running some panel sessions / workshop hybrid, amazing session. I wasn't sure if I would need some visuals or if it would just be kind of just rock up and, when we were breaking out into those small tables, Robin. So I used Gamma on the train up and just last minute thinking I probably need something visual just in case in my back pocket. It took me 10 minutes to produce, whereas a PowerPoint or Google Slides would have taken me, I'm pretty slow at that, couple of hours. So this tool is a free tool and it helps create presentations. So you can sign up to Gamma. You get a free trial, you get some free credits, so you can build a few slide decks with the free version. And of course, if it's useful, you can start paying. You can create a new presentation from here, and you can either generate it from scratch. So again, with a clear prompt. But here we've got some content, right? We've got the little outline. Let's assume I've checked it and I've reworked it all, and it's got nice cast tone, and Ellen and I are happy with it. But hey, we realize we need some visuals, so we're going to paste the text in here, and you can even create web pages here or documents. We want a little presentation, and we're just going to keep it by default, and then we're going to start giving it some instructions. So here we wanted to let's say generate an outline with some more details. We're going to condense it. We want a really short, snappy presentation. We want it in English. Let's use English American for now. Hey, we're rushing. We're just doing a quick demo. You can select some images. So it'll come up with some images. The AI images are still very hit and miss. I wouldn't recommend those, but you can get some stock photography. It's connected with Unsplash, or you can get some web images, and of course you can go and change those images once you've got the first draft. So this is just first draft level, and then you can decide the format, still presentation, and then you can start having a look at some of the styles that you'd like. So you've got some different themes here. You can choose. I'm going to choose a really basic one here called Flax. There you go. And then you can ask it to generate. So what it'll do now is like take the content that we've put in, it'll turn it into an initial slide deck. Again, first draft, but I'm saving time because it's setting up some structure. It's pulling out some suggested titles. It's got some images here. I can go and change those if I always go and change those and put some branding in there, right tone. And it's come up with, you can select the number of slides. I think it's got 9 slides here. It's bringing some visuals. It's just making it a little bit more interesting than a Google Doc and probably my 5-minute go at PowerPoint or Google Slides. Once you've got this draft, you can go and edit all this, right? This is just a draft. So I can go and change hands-on. I don't like this language. This is jargon. I don't like this image. I can go and double click and I can upload my own image. Let's have a look what we got. We can go and upload. Let's say we want a bit of one logo. There you go. Digital Network needs resizing. So you can start playing around with this outline. You can add some slides, you can change the format. But what it's nice, it's already made it visual. It's already kind of bringing some graphics in. You've got lots of different themes. And basically, it's saving me a bit of time. And I use this a lot internally, for instance. We share a lot of Google Docs that no one has time to read. So with Ellen and Co and the cast team, I'm often in team meetings. I've literally done a Gamma 2 minutes before this research thing that I want to review or this update, and I can start really sharing this quick 5-minute show and tell with the team. And that took me like a couple of minutes. So always check, always put your stamp on it. This is just a draft, right? And I suppose the risks around that is, again, it's auto-generated slides. It might not capture your tone. It might sound a bit generic. It might not capture the context precisely, but we've got that affinity, right? We've got that knowledge. That's what we bring to that's the real human input in adding real context and affinity and tone to the outputs. So some editing is still needed. And the guardrails, again, human in the loop. Treat it as a first draft. This is your assistant. He's just set up a little slide deck for you. And that's Gamma. I'd love to hear if some of you are using that. Maybe put it in the Menti and we'll have time to do a bit of feeding back. I'm going to show you one last one. How are we doing for time? I think we got a couple of minutes. This is a really helpful one called NotebookLM. And what NotebookLM does is, so we had a presentation wizard here. This is your personal research assistant, and it helps you quickly understand, summarize, and simplify the content of long documents. Now, you could do that in ChatGPT. Difference with NotebookLM is that you will upload, say, a PDF document or report, and it will just pull your answers specifically from that report. It's not going to start going and scrape the web and to have a look at loads of other data. It's just going to put it from that report. I find this, and some members from our network are using this a lot, finding it really helpful to make research content or lots of content more accessible, or really go and find the information that's really necessary. You can also translate some content. You can create a podcast out of it. This is, for instance, a Good Things Foundation report on AI literacy for the digitally excluded. Now you just upload it here. I skipped that step for the purpose of this demo. And you've got your report here. So this is like this is where it's putting data from. And you can ask it some specific questions. You've got a little chat interface here. And you can ask it, I don't know, let's say, what are the main challenges around digital literacy? You can start typing here. And the difference with what we see on ChatGPT, it would pull out some summary from lots of different sources, not exclusively this one, and it's not really necessarily going to cite the references. Now here it's pulled out some main challenges: fear and anxiety driven by negative media stories. I would love to go and find out more about that. I can click on that reference and it's going to highlight me the original text. So now I can go and dive in. Say you've got a 150-page report, I can go and dive into this chapter and have a proper read of it, and I kind of know where it's coming from. I know where it's pulling those responses from. What is really useful is also making this kind of content more accessible. So think about literacy levels, more plain English. There's a lot of jargon in kind of generally in our sector and all sectors, right? So can you summarize this report in plain English for someone who's not an expert? Really useful for, again, disseminating and sharing with different audiences, different community groups who might not kind of know the lingo. It's going to kind of simplify it, and again, it'll cite sources, it'll cite where it's taken the response from, and you'll see straight away here that this is kind of simpler, more plain English. The really cool thing about this is you can use different languages. So it's just built in some new features. I'm still going to use the old way by just prompting it, but you can basically select your output language. But now you could say, can you translate the summary into French, please? And it's going to go and do that. I've tried it in languages that I speak, and it's just really good. It's really improved throughout the year. Obviously, these are kind of prototypes initially, but this is a great way of just, again, being able to adapt content and make it more digestible, more accessible, whether it's in terms of literacy levels or languages. A really nice way of using this. What you've got then, here's your little studio here on the right, and you can save some notes. I think this is really helpful. I want to kind of keep this French version. You can save to note, and then it's going to come up here. So I can go and share this, for instance, with Ellen, who's in France, and say, do you want to share this with some of your volunteer partner organizations in France? Again, I didn't have to go through a translator or translate it myself for an hour. So I can quickly share that segment with Ellen. And then one thing that's really good for people that don't like reading so much, or don't have time to read, or struggle sometimes with just generally literacy, is it can generate an audio overview, and it'll summarize. You do 15-20 minute segments, podcast style. It's still American, but they've added some features now around changing the language and the accents. The prototype was kind of Americanized podcast, and you've got 15-20 minutes then to just put it on your pods. I'm often on the school run in between meetings, so this is a nice way for me to dive into a report that we might be talking about. Again, I'm going to read it fully at some point, or maybe not, who knows, but if I have to, of course I will, if it's really important for a session I'm running. If it's just I want to keep in the loop, there's a nice way here of just walking and listening to things, and this is the output.
We're diving deep into AI today. But here's the twist. We're not talking about robots taking over or anything like that. We're going to be looking at how AI is affecting those folks who are often, left behind when it comes to tech.
Exactly, you got it. We're digging into this new report from the Good Things Foundation over in the UK.
Okay, you got it. You get the idea. That's NotebookLM. It's run by Google. There's a plus version. There's a fee-paying version with more advanced features. Again, it's a free tool, right? So we're just using it, and our members are using it to just upload reports that are already out there, information that's in the public domain. Obviously, if you start paying, you'll get more data security, more privacy, so you can start using it with your own in-house documents, and that's also when it gets really exciting. So again, here my maybe subtle nuances. Again, human in the loop. Check what your just use it to support your own understanding, not replace the deep reading bits that are so important to making sure we're communicating clear information, and always sense check what's coming out. I'm going to pause there and love to see if anything's come up, the Mentimeter, if there's any questions in the chat. I haven't seen the chat because I've got too many tabs open, but let's see in Mentimeter what's come through. So creating images, yeah, that's another great one. You can also do that in ChatGPT just with a simple prompt. And they've just launched a new image generator, which is pretty amazing in terms of outputs. Cover letters sound more professional. That's a really good one. Adapting tone, and if it's really, yeah, it can refine the tone and the kind of output you're looking for when it comes to emails, letters, messages, editing copy. So it sounds like you're doing lots of things already with that. Grammarly, so grammar check, that was also top 3 in the survey. So checking grammar, spelling, content generation, and then the other one was transcribing. So using tools to transcribe, take notes, and those were the top 3 use cases. Amazing. Have we got anything come through in the chat?
Yeah, it was great. Thanks, David. There's loads to dive into here, isn't there? Someone asked a while ago if we could talk about Grok as well as ChatGPT. I think that was Sheila. I'm not sure what Grok is. I don't know if that's come up. It's not a demo we're doing today, but yeah.
No, so Sheila, great question. So there are lots of tools out there. Grok will have the same, it's a chat interface, it's a general large language model. Grok is, I think, the one with X, but I think there's so many. There's DeepSeek, there's Gemini with Google, there's ChatGPT with OpenAI, there's Claude with Anthropic. Have a go. They all do similar things. Once you start getting into deeper use cases, some are better at things than others, but this is changing weekly, right? So don't worry too much about which tool to use. Basically set up a chat with one of them and start prompting and getting a feel for things in terms of what's coming out, if that's useful or not. So yeah, we focus on ChatGPT because it's the number one use. Copilot is a second, because obviously lots of people are using Microsoft. Have a go at those free tools, using really kind of low risk use cases and prompts like we've just demoed now.
And then there's a hello from Marie who said that interested in more AI training. This is her first one, so yeah, we'll share some more kind of upcoming training that we're doing, including our self-serve email course and some peer support as well. So we'll do that at the end. And then there's a kind of great tweet that was shared from Ellie, which I had a little look at, and just around a concern about de-skilling around. Is using AI going to mean that we eventually de-skill? I was trying to respond in the chat, Ellie, but I don't know if we'll have time to discuss. Great, yeah, but really great kind of great question, and also the tweet as well.
And I can see there's one from Maximilian around intellectual property. It'd be great to look at the challenges and the risks and the concerns when we look at Ellen, your next section around taking the first steps. So being mindful of some of those. I think there's definitely a tension to navigate between benefits and using it, and try and use it as responsibly, as ethically as possible. But obviously, there are lots of challenges and concerns around that, around how AI functions and has been deployed. So it'd be great to touch on that maybe in a bit. Thanks for your question, Maximilian. Is it okay if we crack on to maybe a couple more? I suppose those were really simple tasks that you can take home, do yourselves. We just want to highlight a couple of charity use cases from our networks. So like we're starting to look a little bit more at how AI can improve ways of working, or maybe shift slightly how we're providing information to our beneficiaries, or how we're providing support offers. And I think there's a really nice simple example here from Carers Gateway. Andy from Carers Gateway has been using Vyond just to create engaging content with groups of carers who have different levels of literacy where English isn't their first language, and it basically generates text to animation and video. I'm going to quickly share. It's a 1-minute demo from, if that's okay, from Andy, just talking through the Vyond setup, what that looks like.
Three Carers Gateway carer centres throughout the west of Scotland. One of the things that we've been experimenting with over the last couple of months is how can we use AI to get our message across to more people more easily. And one of these things we've been using recently has been doing video a lot and using AI to translate that video into different languages, but also starting much earlier and using AI to actually help us generate that script. So I've gone into ChatGPT and I'm going to enter a prompt in about what I want this script to be. I want it to be a video script of two people talking about Time to Live, which is the short breaks programme that runs in Scotland. I've given a bit of background information, how they can apply, what it can be used for. And then what's happened is that ChatGPT has then created a script. Now, always check what comes out, make sure it's correct and is actually right for what you're needing. But then we can then take that and go and see this is where we're going to go next. So I'm going to select text to video. And then what I'm going to do is just paste that video straight into there. So I'm going to take that script that we entered earlier and I'm going to tell Vyond what I want it to look like. So first of all, I'm going to say what language do I want it to be in. I want it to be in English, but there are about 100 different languages already loaded in. You can choose what sort of accent it has. I'm going to pick a British one. I can then just paste everything into here. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose what I want the video to look like. So it could just be somebody talking straight to the camera. I'm going to say this is a conversation between two people. And it gives you various places that you can do it in. I'm going to pick it's in a warehouse. And then literally all I'm going to do is hit create video. And it'll go away and it'll start.
And this is basically the first draft of the video that's come through.
Have you heard about the Time to Live grant program for unpaid carers?
Yes, I have. It's designed to help those who care for others take a break, right?
Exactly. It offers grants of up to £300 to help with that much-needed time off.
That's amazing. I know caring for someone can be really demanding and exhausting.
Absolutely. It's important for carers to have their own time to recharge.
So that gives you an idea of the first draft. Obviously, you can then go, you've got a little editing studio, you can go and put your stamp on it, you can change the script, you can change the design, etc. It was just a quick example from how Carers Gateway in Scotland are using these tools to really, especially to translate and make some of the information that they have through their website a bit more accessible, a bit more digestible. And again, very similar risks around this. Always manually reviewing the output and checking benefits around this for them has been saving time and costs. So yeah, just really time saver for them. And is in the comms team, so they've been using tools like this to just try and like make information more accessible on a shoestring, if you like, and it's making more accessible and in different languages. That's one. The last one I want to share is about using internal tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, to create internal chatbots for your teams. Now, this is more advanced. This requires more bespoke development. It requires some funding. Citizens Advice, SORT have been using it to help advisors reduce admin burden, improving information accuracy, and enhancing client communication without replacing human interaction. So they're using internally to really help their teams and staff provide the best possible information. I'm going to quickly, Stuart shared a little quick Loom. It's really useful. Bear with me, it's the last video, but I think this is just an example of a more advanced bespoke tool that's helping citizen advice advisors provide information, essential information, critical information to their beneficiaries.
The other thing we've got, so we've got a version of Caddy built in here as well. So Caddy is a advisor co-pilot tool, and what it does is, first thing, it's not client facing. Again, Citizens Advice, we can't get the answers wrong, so at the moment we're not willing to unleash AI on our clients, but we are using Caddy, which is a co-pilot linked to trusted sources. So the idea is an advisor would use it. They would, if they're unsure of something, they can check with Caddy. Caddy will go away and reference the Citizens Advice site, Citizens Advice expert advice site, and gov.uk, and come back with an answer based on that. So here it's come back with an answer. And then here we've got a really important bit, because we've got a human in the loop process. So what Caddy does, it will often present this answer first to a human supervisor to validate it, or if you're an experienced advisor, you get the option to self-approve. And by me approving that, we've got an audit trail that essentially that advice has been given by a human, even if it was assisted by AI. So that's kind of what Caddy is. But for our advisors, the most exciting thing within Energenie is an element of it called Note Genie, which is a speech-to-text transcription and case note automation tool. Now, for those who are unaware of Citizens Advice, part of the advisor's role, as well as obviously advising a client, is to make copious case notes about what advice was given to that client, attach it to the client's record. That serves two purposes. One, it allows the next advisor, if the client comes back, to understand what has already happened and what they can do next. And also from a quality assurance point of view, it allows supervisors and national Citizens Advice to check the quality of the advice that's being given. As great as that is, it's a massive pain point within the service. So, for example, our light touch advice line service, where the average call takes around 20 minutes, the write-up times can often take 14 minutes. For an expert money advisor dealing with a client for 2 hours, the case notes generated from that often take an hour themselves. So estimated it takes, for a caseworker, they could be spending a day a week of their time just writing case notes. So it's a real pain point for the service. And what it means is it's taking advisors away from what they want to do, which is advising people. So we've created Note Genie, which uses AI, so you can use it across the channels. So web chat, Connect is our telephony platform, or in person. So I'm going to pick Connect, and what you could do then is record the call live, and what it'll do is do a live transcription. Obviously, I'm not going to do that now, so I'll do a Blue Peter style and upload a training conversation that we use with our trainees. Let me just find one of our calls. So this is, I'm just going to upload here, I think it's a 20-minute call. So if you can imagine, what happens in real life is as the conversation is going on, a transcription will appear live on the right-hand panel for the advisor. Then at the end of the call, it will convert that transcription into a case note using AI. So it's using AI first to do the speech to text, or if you're doing web chat, text to text. And then it uses the AI again to interrogate that transcript, and using carefully laid prompts, extract all the key information into a format that meets our quality standards. And so obviously it's doing it at the moment. On average, it takes, so this, like I said, this was a 20-minute call. So there's the transcript. So it's pulled through, labeling client advisor through there in a matter of seconds. Obviously that'll be happening in real time. And then what it'll do now is interrogate.
Well, we've lost the
to say, right, what is the key information that we need to get from this to generate the case notes? And then there we go, it's generated a case note. So it often takes around 90 seconds to generate a case note. So again, it was a 20-minute call. It's pulled through all the key information, so the client's interaction, client situation, what the advisor.
I'm going to pause there, but that gives you an idea of how Citizens Advice are using AI, just mindful of time. And I would love to hear your thoughts and what might be useful for your organizations. So here, really, more advanced case, and the way they mitigate risk is no client-facing chatbots. So they've got full quality control, because there's the advisor, the frontline officer is approving that. There's always a human in the loop, and they're source control responses. So any response, any outputs that's AI is pulling out, it's pulling out from their knowledge base. So just their kind of guidance, Citizens Advice guidance, nothing else. And it's a huge time saver for them. It's reduced case notes writing time by over 50%. So staff can actually spend more in-person time, more kind of deeper relational time with their customers. It's improved accessibility, and it's also helped boost advisor confidence, because they've got like they can score like the kind of outputs, and it kind of helps train, for instance, new advisors and have a bit more quality control. Those are the demos. There's some more. There's other examples of chatbots and how charities like Akiva and us are using Nobot on our website to help people navigate information. But I'm going to skip that because I'd love to get you into groups, reflect on some of that. I've seen some of the questions around bias and the risks. We can definitely touch on those in a bit. For now, just love to think, based on what you've seen, your experience of AI, where do you think it could help you? I'd love you to reflect that in groups, maybe groups of 3. We've got a bit of time to do that now. And again, anything that comes through your chat would be really helpful if you could focus on the chat and all that with your colleagues, but maybe at some point you could also log number one thing that's come through, where AI could help you. And I think we're going to dive into breakouts for, what do you say, shall we do 5-6 minutes, Eden? 6 minutes?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to just open up the rooms in a moment. There was just, before we move on, there were 2 questions I think around, will these, I know the slides will be available with the demos. I don't know if those videos are going to be available. I don't know if you know that, David.
With the slides, we've got some demos recorded, not all of them. So the first ones I did definitely, because I've done those myself. The ones from Stuart and Andy, I'll have a think, but otherwise they'll be in the recording, obviously.
Yeah, so hopefully that is helpful for anyone before you dive into your breakout room. So yeah, you'll be in rooms of 2 or 3. You've got the Menti. Yeah, where have a think about what you've had so far. Where could AI help you? I'm going to open up those rooms now. And yes, it's running until 12:30, Claire. So you should have an invitation now to join.
Just so we know, if there's anyone that's just joined, we've had a flurry at 12 o'clock, so I don't know if there's been a scheduling misunderstanding with lots of people joining right now.
Yeah, we had it as 12 till 1:30.
Okay. Apologies. We have been running since 11. I think this was, I'll look into why this has happened, because obviously some people have done up and some people haven't, but so there must be a kind of mix up somewhere. So I take accountability for that. If you have just arrived, we'll have some time for questions and answers if you'd like to stick around and ask your questions for the experts, and I'll share the recording with the pre-recorded session with you afterwards.
Thank you. Thanks.
But yeah, if you've just joined, we're heading into breakout rooms to do a bit of reflection on where you feel like AI could help you. I know you've missed some of the demos, I'm not sure what bit you came in on, but I think hopefully it will still be really useful to chat to somebody else who has been here. You might already be using AI. Where is it helping you? How do you want it to kind of help you going forward? So hopefully that's still going to be useful. I'm going to assign some people into rooms because I think we've had a flurry just join who aren't going to be in a room. So yeah, I'm going to pop you into some now. So bear with.
Hello. I was put into room 10, but nobody else appeared.
Sorry about that. Let's see. We've had a few people just joining now, so I think we're just doing a bit of Was that Claire that said that?
Yeah, Claire Piota.
Let's see if I can put you in a different room. Can you see Claire in the breakouts? I can't see you there. Let me find you. David, would you mind putting some people into rooms as well?
I can't. Sure, hang on.
Yeah, I can't see. I don't know if it's because people have joined now. I can't see them.
No, on my end, they've all joined to my end.
So it might be that you have a notification.
I came out of mine because the person wasn't there, I don't think. I think they were just away from their desk.
Ah.
So I might be the anomaly. Sorry about
Shall we have a chat here?
Yeah. Can I also just flag about this? I can see that someone's put Firefly's AI note taker. We've had real problems with that in terms of it acting like a bit like a virus. So I don't know who was that, but you might want to double check that.
Is that someone's note taker here?
It must be Adrian.
I might put it in the waiting room, if that's all right, Adrian. Yeah, let's have a chat here then. Sorry that hasn't quite worked out but we can still have a useful conversation here with us. So I don't know if anyone wants to jump in first around any reflections on what you've had so far, and how might AI be useful to you?
I thought that video just now was really, really helpful and definitely demonstrated how helpful it can be with sort of customer service and potential, unblocking of communication lines, I think. And we're sort of in the process at the minute of implementing a new CRM, and it sort of got me thinking about if some of these tools can potentially be sort of working together. I guess that's food for thought, but I think customer service is a big opportunity, definitely.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, glad that video sparked some ideas. Anyone else?
Sorry, I joined late and missed the first bit. Are we in a breakout room or is it all of us?
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
So we ran through some AI demos, which you'll be able to catch up on the recording. And we also did a check-in at the beginning around kind of where you're at in your AI journey.
Right.
So yeah, it might be worth. How long have we got for breakout rooms left? Let's see. We'll probably have to close them in a few minutes, David. What do you think?
Yes, I think so. I'm just answering some questions in the chat. Sorry.
So yeah, if you haven't had the chance to catch those demos, it will all be in the slides and the recording as well. And then we're probably going to close the breakouts in a second, but we've got the next section, which hopefully will be really useful for we've got an experiment canvas to help you with your kind of experimenting. So yeah, you're still gonna get some good stuff from the next bit of the session.
If you've just arrived, we will make sure that most of those demos are in the slide deck and you can just click play, and they're like 4 minutes each, and they'll be very similar to what we've just done, probably even better because it's something I'd done separately, a standalone piece. So rest assured, you'll be able to catch up on that. And I'm hoping you can still dive into the next bits around how to get started without those initial bits of inspiration and demos.
Thank you.
Hope that makes sense. We have also got a Mentimeter, so we're using Mentimeter to get some polls. We're going to have a look at that in a minute. So I'll re-put the link in the chat so you can join. So that's the link in the chat. And how are we doing for breakouts?
Yeah, breakouts, they should be coming back any minute now.
Okay, so welcome back, everyone. Great. Sorry if that was short. Sorry if that was a little bit messy. We had some people join the workshop at 12, just when we were doing breakouts. So we've got some new folks that you may have had a chat with who hadn't seen the demos. This happens. we're all good. We're going to dive into some tips of how you can get started. But this is what's come out from the Menti poll around where could AI help you based on what you've seen. Presentations, productivity, animation seemed like that resonated well. Help with grammar, Notebook LM, so using AI to help respond to wider reports. Things like that. Amazing to see that come through the chat. I can see there's a hand up also.
Yes, I have
Would you like to come in?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm a bit confused that we were told to join at 12, but it seems like we've joined partway through.
Yeah, sorry. I'm the facilitator. I think there's been a scheduling issue. I think some people, the time was updated because of British daylight savings, I've worked out, which is silly and was a while ago. But basically, some people got the update that it was at 11 and some people, unfortunately, here at 12. To make sure that you can still participate, we'll share the recording with you this afternoon. And if you'd like to stick around now for any questions and to kind of listen to the interactive part, you're very, very welcome to do so. But you have my apologies on that one.
Okay. I might go.
So yes, we will. If you are going to drop off, which we hope you'll stay, because we've still got some good stuff that we're going to cover in the next 20 minutes, including some future workshops that we and our kind of in the network are running. So it might be worth kind of staying around to hear that, but it'll all be in the slide deck as well and the recording.
And it's all been recorded, so you can rewatch it all. Don't worry.
So yeah, let's crack on, because we've covered a lot of ground, or you will cover a lot of ground when you catch up on the recording with AI use cases. But we wanted to end with something really tangible around how you can kind of take your next steps. What do you do with all of this? So one thing we wanted to cover was rules of thumb for responsible use of AI. So if you could go back to the slide, thanks, David. So yeah, there is having a clear purpose, so making sure that you really can define what your goal is by using AI, what you're trying to achieve, and communicating that with yourself, but also being transparent if you're using AI with your team, with your service users, wherever that's being shared. What is the purpose of that? Starting really small, but do start. So it can get a bit of overwhelming. So trying to take one small action, and that might be beginning with low risk examples. So for some people, we're hearing that's internal. If that's where you feel kind of safest to start experimenting, that's a great place to start. Maybe starting with simple tasks. So we've had a lot around kind of people wanting to use AI for improving efficiency. If that's where you want to start, that's great. If that's what's exciting you around AI, that's a great place to start. So kind of follow where your energy is and start small with experimentation. Do think about data compliance. So we heard earlier around in the AI survey, kind of this is a really key concern for people around data privacy. So we recommend following your organization's data policy. So if you're using AI tools, for example, that are free, it's possible that the data you're putting in is being used to train future models of the AI tool. So just being really careful about not uploading sensitive, confidential information. So yeah, no sensitive personal identifiable information, not sharing reports that are kind of not shared elsewhere, and checking with somebody else if you're concerned about that. It might be helpful to start with tools that are already approved by your organization. So everyone will be in different places with AI policies, but for example, if you're already using Zoom, that's an approved tool by your organization, there's AI enhancements within Zoom. That might be a safer place to start because it's already approved in as a tool in your organization. So thinking about data compliance and confidentiality is really important. Don't share personal or sensitive data unless you have permission. And then, standardization. So touched on that already. Just thinking about, starting with tools that are already adopted by your organization to safeguard data and privacy. The one other really key rule for thumb is, we've talked about it earlier, human in the loop. Bit of jargon really, but what that means is that we, the person doing the experiment, is in charge. So don't let AI make your decisions for you. It is a supportive, helpful tool. You saw that in some of the demos that David did, that can help you create a first draft, help you get started, help you get unstuck. But it's not going to make the final call or decision. and you need to check the outputs. So having that person in the loop that's checking that there's no bias, that it's factually correct. Someone in the chat earlier mentioned around tone, so thinking about, is it politically and socially appropriate? Some people are kind of running dual experiments. So if you're using AI, for example, to analyze data sets, you might also do that manually. And then you can see kind of any discrepancies. Is it factually correct? That's one way of thinking about that human in the loop. So yeah, a couple of rules of thumb for responsible use of AI. And we've also got a canvas, experiment canvas, I think on the next slide, that we're using to help us plan and structure experiments so that we can keep in mind all of these really key and really important discussions around ethical and responsible use, but also we can move forward with taking our small step, doing a small bit of experimentation so that we can get started or advance if you're already kind of doing some experimentation. So we'll share a link to this. We've got it in a PDF that you can make a copy of, or we've got it on Miro so you can sort of add post-it notes. So yeah, really, really useful tool. You can name your experiment. So you can have a think about what is your goal, what's your purpose, the description. You'd write a hypothesis. So what do you think you're going to achieve by using AI tools? I'll give you an example in a second. There's each of these boxes that you can move through that help you think through the different stages it takes to plan your experiment. You can do it with your team as well. So kind of gives it a bit of framing. And we found it really useful at CAST. And we've also seen members of our network using it as well. And they've shared how they've used it. And that's really helpful, I think. So I recommend sharing, publishing your experiment. Is really helpful. It means that we can all keep learning from each other, and we'll share a couple of links to people who've already done that so that you can kind of see how they've approached this. One way that we did is we were looking at NoBot, which is a chatbot developed by the Mike Hudson Foundation. It sits on a website, so it's for the charity sector sitting on their website, and the need that it's trying to solve, or the problem it's trying to solve is users, your beneficiaries, your service users, donors. It can be quite complicated sometimes navigating someone's network. There's search bars, but finding the information they need when they need it is a kind of common challenge around kind of website navigation and accessibility. So NoBot, it sits on your website. You can ask it questions, and then it will pull information from the website to direct you to the place that is most relevant, give you the information that you need with a bit of narrative. We tested it at CAST alongside, I think you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but 10 other members of our Digital Leads network. So we had a good group of us testing a prototype of it. And we used this experiment canvas together to think through our experiment. So our description is we want to test it internally first at CAST to see if it delivers useful answers to questions based on the content on our website. Our hypothesis was that it would be as useful, if not more useful, than the kind of information on the website, that it would be accurate. We tested it for about a month, I think. So we asked people in the team to ask it questions. We had a little doc, an Excel spreadsheet, really simple setup that we and members of our Digital Leads network completed, where they recorded what question they'd asked. They ranked it from a scale of 1 to 10. How useful is this? They compared it to, well, what would they find if they actually scrolled through the website and had a look at the answer to that question themselves? Is it accurate? And so that helped give us some qualitative responses around the perception of accuracy at CAST, but also in the network. We got together and we shared our reflections on that so that we could really know here where we've got this box around how we know that it works, what are we measuring. We were really clear about that and we evaluated it together. We were clear about the tool, which is NoBot, and we set some boundaries for the experiment, really important, so that you can keep up momentum and keep it time bound as well, because otherwise this can kind of eat up a lot of time. So we said 1 month is our testing window. And we had our person in the loop, of course. We had several people in the loop. So David and I kind of supporting charities to participate, also doing some testing with the CAST team. They were in the loop. They're helping check, is this accurate? How comfortable do we feel? And now, as a result, we have got it actually on our website at CAST. So we've moved from testing a prototype of this chatbot, evaluating it, using this experiment canvas, and then us and several members of the group that tested have now got it on their website. I think David is going to show you. It's live as of yesterday, so you're getting a sneak peek to what it looks like. Is it live?
I don't think so. Akivos is live.
Acivo, yeah, one of the people that, organizations that were testing it. Yes, there it is. It pops up on their website. And this is what it now looks like. So this will continue to be tested and reviewed and evaluated. David's asking a question about what Acivo does, and it will come up with a response that's pulling from their website, links out to useful links as well for more information, pages to visit. So ongoing testing of Nobot, and just as one example of how this experiment canvas can be really helpful to help structure an experiment, I have discussions about it internally and talk you through some of those rules of thumb as well without getting too overwhelmed. We found it to be really helpful at CAST and hopefully useful for you too. So we'll share that with you. So I think we were going to hopefully have time for a second breakout room, but I'm wondering if time might mean that we might have to skip this breakout. Yeah, because we've got 10 minutes left. So yeah, we were going to get you to kind of have a think about an AI experiment that you would like to do and have a go at, thinking about what your hypothesis might be. But what we might do, I'm wondering, is just open up for questions. What do you reckon, David? Especially as people come in at different phases, might be different questions that are kind of coming up.
I think that's a great shout, Ellen. I think, and this is also really good follow-up solo piece of reflection to do with a canvas. You could dot down some ideas. So I think you could do that definitely outside the session. So if you've got any questions at